Greetings once again. You join us, though you join us in the literal, as this will be the review, long overdue review, of a number of places. This will span from their return to Vallaki after their brush with Strahd and Izik's attempt to kidnap Irina, respectively, and will also cover their trip to the Wizard of Wines, as well as Yester Hill. I'm going to start things off with you.
What's the question?
Let's start with the favorite NPC.
Favorite NPC,
of,
okay.
Vallaki.
My favorite NPC was definitely... You could steal yours.
I can't steal it anymore.
No, definitely Baron Vallaki was my favorite NPC because he's a really good representation of how, like, Barovia and Strahd in particular just harms the people here, even if there's someone's never met him. The Baron's probably never met Strahd in his entire life, but his whole life has been completely, like, dismantled because of Strahd and Strahd's agents, particularly, Lady Watcher. Yeah, it's just left him a broken fucking mess. And, it really helps explain how characters like Bluto exist. Because Bluto's like an extreme case, but the Baron is a less extreme case.
And then...
Oh, okay, sorry.
I was just going to say solid.
Yeah.
What about you?
I liked basically the normal people who were trying to do the right thing, but were getting in trouble because of it. Like Milovich's dad, I can't remember his name right now, but the guy who ended up in the stockade because he spoke out against the Baron. And Milovich didn't really. Village spoke up eventually, like towards the end, but just the people who basically tried to do the right thing, even though it ended up biting them in the ass. I thought they were really interesting because they were brave and they spoke up, even though they knew it would probably not work out for them.
That's a cool pick. What about you?
Victor, the Baron's son, because he's a product of his environment, both his father and what Strahd's doing to the land, and he wants to leave with wants to improve himself to where he can also hopefully leave. And,
Very willful for an NPC in Barovia.
Yeah.
At large. What about you?
He doesn't just sit in his room all day getting drunk, which makes him very different from about a good 40 to 50% of the listed NPCs in that book.
Boy howdy.
Probably. I know it wasn't huge and he wasn't really in it, but probably Father Lucian, just for the bit of him being outside of the church and like ushering people in and making sure he's one of the last people in, even though he's just a dude for all intents and purposes. He's just a preacher or a priest, because I don't know exactly if there's a big difference between the two. Sorry, but yeah, that's kind of just something respectful. Somebody who something bad happens, and a priest in these lands that isn't just a worshiper of Strahd is willing to worship something else and try to spread the word to other people. I'd probably say that's a bit of Cojones himself.
For sure. He wasn't my favorite until, I was playing him and it was noticed, I forget who, but there were at least a couple people that commented on his tiredness and his hopelessness. So my pick, if only because Van Richten I consider a free agent and not native to Vallaki, is the Coffin Seller.
Yeah. He's such a good
Only because
choice.
he's not super in, unlike the other people you're supposed to. I'm gonna call it that. You're supposed to encounter the Baron. You're supposed to encounter You could not encounter Lady Watcher, but like she's obviously a player. And then we have this guy who's like he's named and he has something to do. He's not literally nobody, but he's also kind of out of the way, which I think gives him more potential to be sad because, of course, this is the part that was written. Of course, it's going to be sad. I feel there's greater potential there that was at least somewhat recognized in spite of my efforts, quite naturally. So, I am curious. Was there a favorite event in Vallaki?
Yes, there definitely was. And it's actually really hard because there are like two that I really, really like for absolutely different reasons. But I'm going to pick one just because finding all the dolls in Isaac's room is so fucking creepy and serial killery. And it really, I don't know if it's just because we were lucky and we had the scene with Isaac like trying to capture Irina first. I don't know if the scene would work better or worse without that happening beforehand. But going to his room and seeing all those dolls and saying, oh, these look like Irina Kolyana is fucking crazy. That is so goddamn weird and like...
I was actually very happy. I think you even said out of game, I was happy that got discovered because that's a really fun thing that you don't... It's not on your path.
That's so weird.
Boy, is it.
Imagining coming across that first and then is it coming across her later and doing that? That could set a different tone.
It would have been quite
weird.
a bummer if you didn't have her with you and you just, here, oh, these are dolls. And then later, oh, huh. So I think
A little
you guys
bit of a
got
bummer that Irina wasn't literally with us when we opened the room because I would have loved to see that reaction. Irina walks in and it's like, what?
I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to sleep in this house.
She already didn't want to be there.
Would have been 1,000% worse.
Boy, howdy. What about you?
Favorite event that happened in the town. I liked the two. It kind of isn't their fault, but it is their fault. I liked when Rictavio's kitty broke out of its thing.
Yeah.
The part I liked about it was, well, basically all of the commotion it caused, but I liked how we heard about it and how it got started with the two Watcher sons basically being dipshits and fucking with shit. I don't know why, but it seems like something that happens in a horror movie before they get murdered by the bad guy, but in this case, they didn't free Strahd from his tomb or something. Right. It was just a cat. But I thought it was funny, like them being idiots. Basically, it was amusing.
Also, it's a funny part, which is nice.
Could have turned out much worse.
I can agree.
Oh yeah.
I kind of wish we had gotten to see more of. I wish we had learned more about the Watcher family, but we kind of avoided them.
Yeah. There's only so much time.
Yeah.
What about you? Favorite Vallaki event?
The event, I guess you might be able to name it Eat the Rich. The uprising, essentially. With both the Baron and the Lady Watcher, yeah. That one was pretty cool. And I was even there for it. In fact, I sneaked to get some money because obviously...
You were there in spirit.
Yeah. But that event was pretty cool. Yeah, she did. Hopefully some good.
I mean, the town seems alright.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
What about you? Favorite event?
I think I'm gonna have to go with besides the dolls a little bit later. One that I think had the most effect on everyone was near the end of the parade when the effigy collapsed and the guard almost laughed.
It didn't collapse, it just didn't light.
It also crumpled in a little bit on itself. if I'm remembering correctly. But the guards' reaction to all of that, which just blew a fucking gasket in the Baron, but mostly due to the reaction that everybody had when the guard almost laughed. Because everybody reacted differently, but almost the same of, holy shit, that was funny, and do you want me to make a roll for Sasha to not laugh?
It was funny.
That was amazing. I mean, I don't know if that was in the book or something you threw in, but it was very good.
Well, I'm happy to say that is something from the book, and I knew I definitely wanted to get there.
I'd probably have to say that, because
That's
that
a
was a
good
very
part.
good reaction.
That's a good part.
That's a real good part.
I think possibility, or rather, what happened, I turned into not possibility, of vampire spawn attacking the festival was really cool, and it happened. I found a reason for it to happen. I shouldn't say I made it, because I don't just force
Right.
things.
What are you talking about? It was definitely you and not Sasha's fault at all.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's neat. I like vampires attacking, and the place is supposed to be safe but unsettled, and I like the idea of making that even worse with a blatant threat, because it's cerebral threats, that's too light. It's not good enough. Never good enough. We'll double back a little bit. Is there an NPC that you would say is either the worst from Vallaki or least favorite if you love them all a bunch? You could even say weakest. Sometimes I'll do that when they're not bad, but I don't like it.
I would say the Baron's manservant, if only because he seemed creepy and like something was gonna happen with him and then nothing did. I don't know if we just avoided it, so if there is something creepy going on with him and we just didn't find it, then whatever. But as it were, he kind of came off as really creepy, and I was expecting something to happen with him, with the lead butler dude. Nothing ever did. So I would say it's weakest because of that.
What about you?
I don't really have a least favorite or one I dislike the most. Or actually, I'll pick the Baron. I liked the Baron's portrayal, but I'm picking the Baron because I don't like if he were a person, I would despise him.
Yeah.
If he were a real person. So I'm gonna pick him because out of all the people, if I was trapped in a room with these people, he would be the one I would lose my mind over and like stab in the corner first. Not that I'm a sociopath would do that, but he would definitely be the one that pushed my buttons.
I think I can see that. What about you?
Would Pluto be an option?
Let's see what
I don't see why not.
I'm gonna say sure. You found him before this part, but you had more dealings with him in this part, and he is from Vallaki. So yeah, I'd say yeah.
Alright. Well, I dislike him because he's a stupid idiot. That's obviously before the part. He tried to kill a fucking kid. I mean,
Yeah, he's pretty despicable.
Also, I did not. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I did not like the Baron fucking just not fucking doing his job, getting justice for the fucking girl.
Both are plenty decent picks. What about you?
Instead of going with least favorite, if it's alright, I was probably just going with least interesting one, and I think I'd probably have to go with like the Baron's wife, just because she's a person, but she doesn't seem to have like a big impact on anything, even though she's the wife of the Baron. And even, yes, you're, for this time, may just be, you're the wife, but somebody with that much power, I feel like, should probably maybe have a little bit more of an air to them, maybe a little bit more of a, I want to have my hand in things and try doing my own
I think she should be more
additions a little bit. Maybe have a little bit more of,
Yeah, I feel you.
you know.
Personally, it's really tough for me because I feel that they're all like equal or above, but I'm going to make my pick of I'm going to, off the cuff, go with the Watcher children, if only because they are like a few other people that I feel could have been used a little better, which is more or less up to how the GM uses them. I don't think that they're uninteresting as written, but I found them to be a little out of the way for me. They make their entrance in the event with Rictavio's pet, and they obviously can be found in the tavern as well. But for me, least impactful, partially on me. And that's the deal. I'm going to ask, as far as Vallaki is concerned, and this can touch on like previous Vallaki as well, if you want to double down on the sentiment that you made, is there a part of it that you would change or feel could be cut without really losing anything that you would? And why?
No. I feel like everything that happened was pretty relevant to what's going on. I think Vallaki is probably the best written part, in that there's nothing that, like, removing it, even the part that you can argue is the most inconsequential, which I would argue is Rictavio's pet, still adds humor, and horror is better if you ease up with jokes every once in a while. That's why most horror movies will have a joke every once in a while. Because it pulls the tension off, and then, well, yeah, that's how good horror movies are done too. That's probably why it's that advice in the book. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Perkins is a big horror movie guy. But no, it's a good horror thing. Is you throw jokes, and then, because if you're just all dread all the time, you become desensitized to it. So I would say no. I would keep Vallaki. If I was running it, I'd keep Vallaki exactly the same. Or I definitely wouldn't take anything out. I might add more stuff into it, but I wouldn't remove anything.
Yeah.
I agree. I wouldn't have taken anything out. I think everything that we did, everything that we saw was important to the atmosphere of the town and stuff like that, and getting to know Vallaki. Even the NPCs we met, I think, were all relatively important. I guess the Watcher crits didn't end up being that important, although I enjoyed them. But
you wouldn't change anything either?
I would have only added stuff, not taken anything out, basically. Like I said, I wish we'd kind of know some of the other important people in the town, like the Watcher family, like the whole family, instead of like just the part with the kids, and then just at the end when Lady Watcher shows up. But that's the only thing I would have changed, I guess.
What about you?
For the most part, nothing that I can think of is that I kind of wish we had more dealings with that guy that snuck or tried to sneak into one of our rooms in the manor. That guy. That didn't really count. He escaped, and that was pretty much it. We did other
or
stuff.
the guy who was watching you while you were having breakfast.
Yeah, that guy. Or that guy too. That's a different guy.
I just assumed they're Strahd spies, but if there's something else about it, it could have been more interesting to find out.
Yeah.
But we may still. It might be a setup for later.
Yeah.
Who knows? It could have also been maybe one of the Watcher kids.
Maybe. What about you?
No, we know what the wash pits look like.
This one had a hood up. We couldn't see
He still
face.
saw the guy's face.
What about you?
There isn't anything in there I would remove, like, with basically the general consensus of the table. That it goes with the town. It's with everything in there. It seemed to function as a town. There are these types of people in the town. People avoid other people in towns. People avoid strangers. Then there are people that like to put masks on people that they consider prisoners. Maybe, inconsequential stuff, but it definitely adds to the flavor of the town. Something I think I personally think I would add, either add something more to the Baron's wife, or if nothing can be come up with, maybe have something happen to her, like either killed or something, to maybe like add a bit more to the Baron.
Killed.
Well, yes, but like before the players get there, and not by the acts of the players. So to maybe add, maybe a bit more character to the Baron, or the Baron's son, whose name I keep
Victor.
Victor, thank you. Because it's not that they have a lot. I think it's if you have a little bit more, it won't be too much to add to their characters.
Hey. The more and more I hear it from the table, call it indoctrination, the more and more I feel like agreeing with the general consensus as far as not removing anything. There's a surprising amount of stuff in Vallaki, which is pretty cool. The fact that you guys are as active and exploratory as you are, and can still say, we didn't get to fully check out X, I think is a testament to how packed and active it is. I would say the only thing, if I made any kind of change at all, would be changes that I have made a lot throughout this. One of the features of the adventure is supposed to be that you can replay it over and over again because you miss stuff and whatever, and oftentimes because this is a review and also because I don't think I'll get a second shot, I change things that are maybes into definite path crossers, not necessarily this will absolutely happen, but the visit to the stockyard, when they said, when I believe Sasha was like, I'm going to look around, I could have just said, meh, you don't really find anything of interest, whatever. I didn't have to have the Watcher twins there doing that because it's an optional thing in the book. They're like, nah, let's do it. This cool fact, let's do it. There are a number of times where if anybody's actually played this and sees these videos, will say, that's an optional thing. And you're right. But I did it anyway. It's kind of just my general thing for the whole thing. If there's something cool, go ahead and include it. Some people play adventures again, but sometimes you only get one shot.
Yeah.
Now, there were technically two combats in Vallaki, not a whole lot. I'm not actually going to ask a question about combat. I think that some people have kind of answered what their pick would be between the two from stuff that they've already kind of said. I am going to ask questions about Wizard of Wines now. The first one, much like the first one I led with, favorite NPC, though I know it's a little slim pickings. You got a favorite NPC among the people you met?
After?
Well, at the Wizard of Wines. So technically I'm just asking, is there a family member that stuck out a whole lot to you?
Davian, probably. That's the leader, right? Or that's Erwin's brother, Davian?
I believe so.
Yeah. But definitely Davian. Oh, if only because he's the only one with any sort of tie to the story at large, which is, that's Erwin's brother. They are estranged for reasons, and then later we found out the reason why. He seemed like a pretty chill and relaxed guy for everything that's going on. Kind of reminds me of Quincy from Dracula a little bit, in that he's just remarkably chill about the stuff that's happening in a way that might make people be like, everyone's done, right?
Whatever.
And he's just like, oh, whatever. So yeah, be Davian, but it's not like there's a ton of choices.
I would say the small children, the ones that I can easily amuse with cantrip, because I don't know, it's nice to be able to, I know they're fictional people and I have feelings, but it's nice to be able to like brighten their day, and like let them play around and stuff like that and give them something amusing to do.
So it's bedtime. Why are they glowing?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sure.
A wholesome moment.
Yeah.
What about you?
Pretty hard since not that many. But
You don't have to pick a different one.
yeah.
You can just agree with one of the ones we
In
said.
fact, since it was kind of light, like you were like, yeah, they all kind of blended together. I'll let one person get away with that.
No, this should be a final answer.
Was it the mother that admonished the kids?
Yes, I believe so.
Alright. I'll pick her.
Their mother, anyway.
Yeah. No,
Fun.
yeah.
Cause and effect. I can get it. What about you?
I like kids. Kids are cool, especially in games. Like just interacting and just watching them be kids. Like it's always fun. Kids are just neat and just entertaining, and even in dark, just shitty places, kids are the kids and usually find some joy in it.
Because I don't know any better. But
Exactly, like that in itself is kind of an endearing trait
yeah.
because
Yep.
we just lose that.
That's cool. For this once, I am going to copy you. I think it's cool that there's some story stuff connected to out here, and it was cool that I got a chance to have that come up organically. So, since there were like a few combats, I'm going to count when you defend the Wizard of Wines in this, even though it took place after like a different section. So, of the combat you had there, favorite combat, and why not favorite enemy?
If I can count this whole after part as one section, because I'm gonna be honest, neither of the fights it was cool what we did to defeat the invading barbarians and stuff, but that's kind of something we did. It's not really part of the book. I would say the best fight, if I'm allowed to count the stuff that happened in Yester Hill, is the fight at Yester Hill.
Well,
Not only is
I
it
want you to count like the fights that happened at the winery. I was just saying,
Then-
defending from the barbarians technically happened after, but I would let you pick that.
Well,
And
then
for
that
you,
one,
if you want
because
to give
it's
it an
more
asterisk.
interesting. Well, then it's more interesting than the first part. Because the first part is just we show up and fight a bunch of druids and like an endless swarm of blights, which I have a sneaking suspicion is supposed to be a fight you're not supposed to win, but we won because we specifically had a nature cleric who could turn a bunch of them. I feel like maybe the book wants you to run from that fight or try to like sneak around and do like solid snake shit and like catch the druids by surprise or something, but we didn't do that, so it just turned it into like a huge fucking slog. So that might be on us. But yeah, the second fight was definitely more interesting because it wasn't just us throwing shit at people, it was us setting up for an ambush and defeating a fairly overwhelming group of enemies through ingenuity. So that was always interesting and cool, and using traps is cool. Usually on D&D you're on the opposite side of traps, so it's cool to be on the using side.
Fair enough. What about you?
There's only really two choices, so I'll pick the other one to not copy him.
There was a brief fight inside the house. If it wouldn't be my pick, but
That's a
who knows? Tracking that druid through the house and then fighting him might have done something for you.
No, I think outside was more interesting because, well, I don't know, but I kind of like stories where there's like a big battle and it's like a battle of, I guess, fatigue, sort of attrition. Yeah, a battle of attrition. Where like the good guys, whatever, are running out of everything, and they have to like really kind of try to buckle down to try to get through whatever it is, or But basically, I like the first fight because we ended up having to use a lot of our stuff, and I feel like typically druids maybe kind of summon a lot of stuff, so fighting druids and them actually having like a bajillion fucking excuse my language, but a bajillion enemies that we had to fight through to even get to them was somewhat interesting.
I hadn't thought about that. That's so cool. It's cool reasoning. What about you?
I picked the first one too because, well, I did say I liked that fight to you guys, even though fucking it was shit for him because of his character. But,
Twofold.
yeah, but I mean, like, it's difficult. I was thinking, are we gonna die? or is one of us gonna die finally? Or, you know, but we saw slug it through, we made it through, we fucking beat those fucking twigs ass.
That you did.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I have to agree with Mario on it. It's cool. It's always cool seeing players come together, make plans, and being able to initiate on those plans and have everybody work together for it.
I agree. It's a rare opportunity where that happens like smoothly, so when it takes root on its own, it's definitely something you don't want to abandon. I am going to reveal that I'm a terrible liar. I'm going to pick the fight they had inside the house only because until it happened, like tracking him through the house and then fighting him eventually, I thought was maybe a little neat, though pound for pound, obviously players being able to do something significant to defend a place they care about takes the cake, but I'm going to make that one my pick before I move on to Yester Hill, because we could talk about what would you do different, but it's probably pretty straightforward and what have you. I'm also going to do something different for Yester Hill in that it was an event. Strahd was there. You're trying to stop a ritual, and to make things even worse, you also lost somebody. So instead of asking questions for Yester Hill, I'm going to have you express thoughts about Yester Hill, because asking enemy, part, NPC, it's not a good way to talk about it. And I wasn't given advice off camera to speed it up. This is all my idea, and not just 50%. 75.
Okay. So my thoughts on Yester Hill are definitely that because Strahd is not a good game to play a shit talker. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
It ends up with you being dead. Second, less jokingly, it probably so far has the coolest like visual image in the game, and I know D&D isn't a visual medium, but you're supposed to imagine stuff in your head, and my favorite parts are when I can imagine something that looks really cool in my head. And Strahd sitting on his flaming fucking nightmare, overlooking like the mist that you can see the past through, and a ritual in his honor as a bunch of crazy people chant "He is the land" in Druidic to a fucking Wicker Man style like effigy as this magic gem pulses in a fucking vampire tree is literally like something out of a weird alternate universe Franzetta painting where not everyone is super like naked and swole, but like still really cool. If I knew more fantasy artists, I could probably pick one that fits better, but whatever. It looks like a bitchin' fucking painting, and the whole scene is really interesting. I mean, what happened after kind of sucked because we lost and Irina got taken, and but the imagery is crazy. It's definitely crazy, and I thought it was cool.
Right on.
It paints a beautiful picture of how hopelessly screwed you are. Additionally, I thought it was cool that we could mostly lose and then still kind of pull out a win anyway by robbing the gem out of the tree and go away.
Winter Splinter.
Yeah, because animated objects are awesome. Tiny Sevens go.
Crack out.
Yeah.
Crack out. It was really more black to hit my Tiny Servants off, but whatever.
You,
Yeah.
thoughts on Yester Hill.
So
Let it all out.
I I liked it all, and obviously I have a problem maybe with being a shit talker since I do it basically every game to basically every enemy that is actually threatening and strong. So that might be more flaw on my part, and my characters just happen to share because I have it. But I don't feel like Rayla acted out of character to provoke Strahd in that it was a profaning of nature, and she specifically believes very strongly in the good aspects of nature. Also forgot the tree. This vampire tree. There's nothing that's gonna make her more angry than that.
That's about your character. What
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Yester Hill?
I agree with him. The imagery was really great. I also thought that it was cool that there was a thing in the ground that called to one of us to go find it. That was pretty freaking awesome because that's like some shit in a movie or something like that, or a book that I know that maybe there's a trope for it or maybe something like that, but that is
Definitely
just cool in and of itself. And we haven't got to see what the thing does yet, but I thought it was neat. And pulling out a win at the end was kind of cool, although everyone was downtrodden, even though we barely managed to hang on. And I understand why, but
Good mix. Thoughts on Yester Hill?
It is cool. The energy, the fucking the boss showing his muscles when he has to.
flex them on.
Yeah. Fucking
Everyone else got a taste of what Sasha got.
yeah, fucking oh yeah, our NPCs just screwing us out of plans. That was cool too. Great, just great.
Smart.
Fucking yeah, and completing the thing, the fucking in the gym, that was pretty cool. And yeah, just also seeing your tiny servants do a lot of
That they did. What about you? Thoughts on Yester Hill?
Ditto for basically all of it. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, not cool that Ismark is now just a broken man that's probably on his way to death, or something. We'll have to see. Tune in later to see how that fucking shit show might go. But yeah, it's nice. It's definitely a big part of the campaign. I feel. I am also wondering if it would have gone significantly differently. Obviously, if Strahd had maybe showed up maybe 5 years later, maybe just a little bit
Instead
later.
of being there when we got there. Yeah.
Immediately, yeah.
Good questions.
Yeah.
Or good question.
That's basically my throwing.
Yeah, right on. I want to say that I was glad that it went as well as it did. With any event, you're always wondering whether or not it will be cool, because that is the entertainment of your players is the ultimate goal. As easy as it is to kind of forget about that. I am partially a fool, because in the book they give how long the ritual takes, and I thought, I don't know, I don't think Strahd's going to be able to hold them off that long. Like, there are 4 of them, and they're not super strong, but I don't know, man. I'm thinking I'm going to have to cheat this a little bit and shorten it. And then, funnily enough, I didn't shorten it, because sometimes I make plans and then don't do them. Only for it to totally be more than enough time and for Strahd to be plenty strong enough. So, talk about succeeding in spite of yourself. Just really have more faith in setup sometimes.
More faith in your ability to hopelessly slaughter us.
I also must say that I am glad that the gem was noteworthy enough to go after, because I was thinking there was a break between them. Yester Hill bits where I was like, I hope they do pursue that gem, because they don't know, but technically this could be turned around. Because while the thing in the book doesn't say taking the gem, it might. It alludes to the fact that the gem is connected to the ritual, and like Winter Splinter can't happen without it. Though I did think it would be cool if the effigy like became Winter Splinter while people were riding on it. It'd be really cool and dramatic. Might be down a couple more, another player, so maybe it's for the best.
Shadow of the Colossus shit.
It would have been cool. It's the eternal struggle. That sounds cool. It might have killed somebody, but it would have been cool. So glad it went over as well as it did. It's neat, and I think you guys also spoke to the general coolness of the visual and the aesthetic and the theme. But with that and the other defense that we already covered behind you guys, you made a brief return to Vallaki and will be chasing after Irina, storming Castle Ravenloft. A bit premature, perhaps. I'm excited to see how that goes, as I'm sure you all are as well.
Yeah.
But for this review, I have been David Harper. You can find me at Artist David Harper on Twitter and Instagram. And what about yourself?
I'm Mara Vilas. You can find more of me at Lights Camera Initiative, where I speak for some people some of the time. Additionally, you can find me on Thursday on the Tainted Lands stream at 8 o'clock Eastern, where I will be playing Luca Dualar, a cleric of the Whisperer, who's definitely a normal guy and not weird at all. And by the time this comes out on Monday, the previous Monday, I will have been on Date Big Gaming's channel doing a Whose Line Is It Anyway sort of improv comedy D&D session, where I will be playing a Loxodon Druid Malewap. So you should definitely check that out, because that's going to be good and funny, and we're going to do lots of games inspired by the show. We're going to do Whose Line. We're going to do we might do interrogation, depending on how something goes. There's going to be a bit of Clue, like the movie Clue. I guess it's going to be about a murder mystery. It's exciting stuff. Check that out. It's cool.
I don't remember interrogation.
Sounds neat.
Yeah.
Send off.
I'm Robert. I play Ari now because of the aforementioned event we just reviewed. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed.
Jeff playing Crack, the Monk Ranger, Kinku, and I look forward to more, and hopefully he doesn't die.
Hopefully.
Ed, still going strong with Siguror, and I mean, I'm just hoping we all don't die. That's the main hope.
Yeah.
But I think we should be okay.
It's a good hope to have. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.